Welcome to Martini Time. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. We ate the turkey, so I've just got a chicken left here. As I told you, I'm trying to go through all these martini glasses because I know one of them is the Holy Grail, and I think this Thanksgiving I found the Holy Grail in many ways, and I hope you did. A Holy Grail means healing. Remember Indiana Jones? In the Last Crusade, the whole thing about the Holy Grail, he had to find it to heal his father. So if you drink from the Holy Grail, you're healed. The wound that never heals is healed. And that's the wound in the side of Christ. And so I titled this talk just now, The Holy Turkey. And I've been reflecting on Thanksgiving yesterday, as I do once a year. And I feel like it's a secular Eucharist. Now, I see metaphors, so I see the Eucharist everywhere. This is the Eucharist. I told you I was a martini priest. This is the blood and body. You see the olive there? That's the body. There's the martini there. That's the blood. So I serve this to you, metaphorically speaking. So you have to really understand metaphor. So when I talk about the Holy Turkey, I'm talking about it metaphorically. And so the Eucharist is a metaphor, but a lot of people say, oh no, what do you mean? Turkey, that is not the Eucharist. So most people think literally. So the Eucharist is just in religion, and that's it. Or in the church, the communion. That's it. It can't be anywhere else. But this misses the whole beauty and magic of Christianity and all the religions, because the Eucharist is in all the religion, and it's a sacrifice. What is the Eucharist but the sacrifice of Christ? And you cut him up in little pieces and eat him, drink his blood. Blood's running down your lips. It's kind of cannibalistic, but it's metaphorical. So we don't get bent out of shape. We don't realize what we're actually thinking we're doing, you see. But anyway, so what are we doing with the secular Eucharist, the Holy Turkey, is that you have to understand dismemberment and resurrection, or dismemberment and healing, which means putting the pieces back together. You get a puzzle. You go to the store and buy a puzzle. It's a picture that's dismembered. And now you're driven to put it back together. We go to a cousin's, nephew's or some family member house. They have a place at Cape Hatteras, and they always have this big, complicated puzzle out there. And they spend the whole time there working on that puzzle. And it may last 2 or 3 trips, because they're very complicated. But you're driven to put it back together. You want to heal that puzzle. The puzzle is broken. It's bleeding. It's hurting. I got to put it back together. You get it done. The resurrection. You see. So this whole idea of dismemberment and resurrection is in every religion, and it's in our society. Life is dismemberment. When you're born, you get dismembered. You start getting pulled apart by the world. You feel like you're being eaten by the world, cut up by the world, a victim, sacrificed. America's dismembered. That's what Trump was elected for, to put America back together again. Every president is elected to put the country back together again, because we feel dismembered. We feel broken, fragmented in pieces, torn apart. Can't get our whole act together, can't get our center, can't get our power. We've lost our power. All these sexual aggressors that are all popping up now everywhere, what are they doing but dismembering a female, taking away her power? And when they rise up to accuse him, to get him to confess, they're taking back their power and restoring unity. They're healing the wound, you see. So it's all about wounding, healing, tearing apart, broken, lost, and being found, and being restored. So how does that fit into Thanksgiving? Well, Thanksgiving is the one communion that we can practice that doesn't have any religious context. So we all practice it. So it's an American ritual. Now, what is a ritual? Mythology doesn't exist without ritual. Ritual activates the mythology. If you have a mythology, it's just a fantasy or just an idea unless you do it, you see. So anything that we're doing ritually, in other words, any Groundhog Day, anything we do repeatedly, anything we do over and over again, can't stop, don't know why we're doing it, have no idea what the meaning of it is, I just do it, I don't know why, that's a ritual. And there's a story behind it, there's a mythology behind it, and the ritual activates the mythology even though it's unconscious. So the mythology is unconscious, but it gives reality and meaning to the ritual. So the meaning of turkey, Thanksgiving, is that the turkey is a sacrificial animal. And when there's right now, they've got the turkey bones in a big pot stewing on the stove. Going to eat that turkey down to the last bone. Going to eat that whole, and this is what a sacrifice is. You don't leave anything off. You know, in the Eucharist, when the priest breaks the bread and pours the wine and then serves the pieces to the communion to heal them, you see. If it's not eaten, he eats it. You don't leave anything on. There's no leftovers on a plate of sacrifice. That's why your mother says, eat everything on your plate. No leftovers. A sacrifice cannot be, it's a sacrifice to the gods. You can't just leave some food there, uneaten, you see. The priest has to eat it. Can't be left, you see. If it's left, it becomes karma. It becomes the gods are pissed off. You see, you didn't complete the sacrifice, and you're going to pay. So you have to complete the act. You have to do it, and this is why the sacrificial rites, you know, in India and in the Catholic Church. I mean, these are really, they know how to do a sacrifice. Protestants, yeah, a little wafer, some grape juice, it's all right, you know. But the Catholics really know, you know, they're serious about it, you see. And so I've always been inclined towards that. I'm not a Catholic, but I've always loved the Mass and the meaning of it. And I got that from Thomas Merton, but that's another story. We're trying to stay on traffic here and understand why the turkey is a holy bird. Well, first of all, it's a sacrificial bird, which means you eat everything. That's why, you know, you eat the turkey on Thanksgiving, and then you eat it on Friday, and then you eat it on Saturday, and you eat it on, you know, you have a sandwich. And you save the giblets, I don't know, and the neck, you know. I don't know, maybe people don't have, maybe that's in the soup, I don't know. But the point is you eat everything, the sacrificial animal, because it's sacred. So the sacrificial animal, when it's selected for the sacrifice, is a sacred animal. This is why in India and other cultures, when the animal is selected, he's dressed up like a god. Flowers and everything. Used to be when humans are sacrificed, they were a god for the year. You know, we have queen for the day. Well, they were a god for the year. All the primitive cultures that work sacrifices was always human sacrifices. Somebody was selected. In the beginning, it was a volunteer. It was a great honor to be a god. It was a great honor to be a sacrifice for your community and activate the life of the community. So the sacrifice activates the life of the community. And if you don't do the sacrifice, the community is going to be fragmented, you see. So it has to be repeated. Aztec sacrifice was all about that. We do human sacrifice. You don't believe it? What about our military? We have these wars. Aztecs had the wars of the flowers. We have wars for freedom, for the god freedom. And who gets sacrificed? Volunteer soldiers. No draft, you see. The sacrifices are volunteer, because the sacrifice should be a willing sacrifice. So they willingly give their life to the God freedom. It's a sacrifice. We talk about it, we don't know what it means. The God freedom has to live because of the sacrifice. Thank you for your sacrifice. So it recurs year after year, because once this mythology becomes ritualized, you see, you have to do it or you feel like the whole country will fall apart and be fragmented. So it is a yearly resurrection and healing, just like the planting season. This is where this myth comes from. And I won't say it's a myth because it's life itself. Because in the life of the planting society, you had the seasons of planting in the spring, maturing in the fall, and then death in the winter. And maybe the spring wouldn't come back. Maybe the spring God wouldn't come back and you would starve to death. Now, how are you going to make sure that it comes back? Well, you take your cue from nature. Let's see, now what happens now? All these plants die. And then, boom, in the spring they come back. So you have to die in order to live. You have to die in order to create life, you see. The seeds. So this mythology is ancient and it goes into the rhythm of life, you see. So this whole, what happens with Christianity and the religions when they're just mythologized? We really don't know what it means spiritually and internally. So we think we just do it, you see. And the Turkey Eucharist, or the Holy Turkey, or the secular Eucharist of America, is that Thanksgiving is a yearly ritual in which a turkey, instead of a human, you see, that's what happened with human sacrifice. They go, well, why don't we just use an animal, you know? So have an animal, you know, a bull. Let's sacrifice a bull. So so the turkey is selected, chosen sacrificial animal, and we go select the turkey. It's very important. Oh, we poke it and punch it. How we do it? Weigh it. Oh, that's a good one. Then we select the god, and we bring it home, and we prepare it and wash it for the sacrifice. We clean it up, and we put it in the oven, and we roast it to a golden brown, and it comes out on the platter, and the people are sitting around the table. Oh, they're so hungry, you see. And the turkey is brought in. And the priest, the father of the house, stands with the knife. And he carves the turkey. And then it's served out to all the members of the family. And they eat that turkey, you see. And so the whole thing is the coming together of the family. Now, why is the American family needing this? Well, it's in diaspora. The American family is fragmented. It used to be the American family lived in the town they all grew up in, like in Blackstone here. Now the families are all over the place for a whole year. So at home, at Thanksgiving, they come home to share the Eucharist of the turkey and to heal and reunite and restore their original family unity, because they don't want to forget it and let time separate them and drift off and, oh, we don't want to go back there now again. We got more important things to do, you see. So it's a real ritual of remembering the family, of reuniting and of resurrecting the original family, and it's the home tree. And the turkey is the sacrificial animal that America has selected for this feast. Other cultures select other. A pig used to be one. In the Middle Ages, the pig was. Why do you think that pig was brought in on a platter in the Middle Ages with an apple in its mouth? And you eat the whole pig, you see. It was a sacrificial animal, and the apple was the apple from the tree of life. And in the South, the pig is a sacrificial animal. Down here in the South, you eat the whole pig. Everything but the squeal, they say, and laugh, you see. And why is the boar a sacrificial animal? Because it goes under the ground into a big hole, and it comes up, and it has a tusk, like the horns of a bull, or the horns of the moon, which is a symbol of the goddess and the mother, you see. The horns of the dilemma. So anything with a horn on it, a bull or a boar, is most likely going to be a sacrificial animal because it is the consort of the goddess. And the goddess is the god of the earth and the planting and the dying and resurrecting of life, you see. So her consorts are the sacrificial animals, like the bull and the boar, you see. So mythology is very important. Mythology, I've studied Joseph Campbell, and it's a very healing and uniting study, because you can see mythology at work everywhere, and you understand why we do things in the culture and why we do these rituals and what ritual means. It means to activate a story. If you don't do the ritual, you don't activate the story. And we do this all the time. So if you don't see the action, well, let me give you some examples. Take the sexual aggression. That's popular right now. It's in the news. It's a ritual. It's a ritual. And the story that the sexual abuser has is that I need some power. Where am I going to get some power? I got to steal it from some woman. So he sets up a situation where she's trapped. You see? Like Cosby or Weinstein or whatever. You shut them in a room and have some sexual ritual with them. It's all ritualized. And so that ritual then activates their power. You see. But then the power is stolen, so it doesn't last. It runs down, so they got to do the ritual again to juice up their power again. They want to feel the power. Power is no good if you don't have any power. If you have power, it's potential power. Like this battery. This is potential power. It doesn't have to do anything. It can just sit there. It doesn't have to run around looking to get plugged up so it can feel its power. It knows it has power. It doesn't have to do anything. But what if it didn't know it had its power? It's going to have to run around and find a circuit so it can feel the light. Ooh, I feel the power. You see what I mean? Because they don't believe it's there. So they got to set up a circuit, which is a ritual, so they can plug in and feel the power. And then they get juiced up and they run a while and become all full of charisma and creativity. And then it runs down. Well, now this is a compulsion. Now they got to do it again. You see, the priests get caught up in this, trying to find a ritual that gets them out of the double bind of being sexual and not sexual at the same time. So anyway, that's just one example of a current situation going on where you have a dying and a resurrection. The dying of the power, and you resurrect it by abusing some woman and getting her power. You see, and then she can't fight it, take it back, because if she does, she's going to get shamed again. Double is power going to be taken away. So right now, we have where women are rising up in a group, and if a herd of zebra confronts the lion, they can kill the lion. But one zebra isn't going to do it. You see, so when women rise up as more, in a small group, they can confront the power and take it back. And that heals them, and it gives the aggressor his just desserts. You see? And he can't change unless this happens, because he doesn't have the power to change himself. The women have it. He's given it. That's why he's stealing it. He doesn't believe he has any power. You can't change yourself if you don't have any power. So he can't change. He has to be changed by somebody else. If you have a compulsion, you can't quit. You only quit when you get caught in a sting and you see, oh, I see now. You see? So, I hope this helped us understand Thanksgiving, and I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And I'll see you again tomorrow at martini time. Thank you.